Last Sunday's bandits' attack on Kaduna-Abuja Highway has brought panic to residents and road users. The gunmen attacked the road around Kurmin Jema'a and shot sporadically to cause panic. This has also become a matter of great concern to security agencies who had recently intensified efforts towards ending banditry in the state. How can security agencies overcome this challenge and restore peace and security to the highway? Security consultant Kabir Adamu joins me now via Zoom to make sense of this. Kabir, good morning. It's good to have you join me now.
Good morning. How are you doing?
We're fine. Thank you. Right now, the Nigerians are asking questions. This is not the first. The attack of last Sunday on Abuja-Kaduna Highway is not the first or the 10th attack there so far. Government had at one point or the other made promises that it would never happen again, yet it keeps happening. What is really behind this? One would say, okay, should we agree that security agencies are overstretched? Or is it the lack of capacity? Or is it but the capacity certainly has never been in doubt. What are the issues behind this?
Okay, I don't know if time would allow us to look at all the issues, but in simple terms, the security infrastructure that we have in the country, unfortunately, it has not been capable to deal with the security challenges. In other words, there are gaps within the security arrangement, the security architecture that is being exploited by mainly non-state actors to perpetrate what we've seen. In your comments, you indicated that they attacked the Abuja-Kaduna Highway starting, frankly, from Tuesday. So it happened on Tuesday, it happened on Wednesday, it happened yesterday, Thursday, repeatedly. And in all of those days, they blocked the road in most times for longer than 30 minutes. So clearly, and this is broad in daylight, not at night. So showing clearly that they understand that whatever firepower we bring to them, they are able to withstand it. So again, a demonstration of the fact that the architecture is not able to secure us in the manner that we want. Now, I can quickly mention what I mean by gaps within the security architecture. There are ungoverned spaces in the vicinity of this route between Abuja and Kaduna. Those ungoverned spaces are in the form of forests that straddle these locations. And what we know is that these gunmen hide in these ungoverned spaces. They come out and they carry out their operations. Now, our security arrangement mainly has been deployed along the route. And so, like I said, these guys come out and carry out their activities because there are gaps even within the security arrangement along the route. So that in a nutshell is why this issue has not, stopped, despite the several deployments along the route.
You talk about the ungoverned spaces, and of course, we know that because Nigeria is so large. But the point there is, when these things happen and they occur, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, we assume that the security agencies know the terrains, even if it is on an ungoverned space. But because it is a territory you're supposed to have mastery over, we assume that they should have carried out some kind of surveillance to know, where this thing happens. Usually when it happens, this is what happens next, and this is where they go, so that there can be arrests and the prevention of this happening again. But we don't seem to see that.
So there are two major reasons for that. Within the national security architecture, we've got 27 ministries, departments, and agencies. Out of these 27, I think about 9 have the mandate to carry weapons. Now, only 1, which is, I think, the forestry guards, have responsibility for manning those forests. And some of us are aware that these forestry guards are undermanned. The equipment, repository is not enough to withstand the firepower. In fact, I doubt if there is any single one of those 9 agencies that have the capacity to withstand these gunmen that are hiding in those forests. And so asking these forestry guards to confront them is suicidal. And therein lies your answer. The second element, which is crucial, is the lack of accountability within the security architecture in Nigeria. The monitoring and evaluation systems that are within the security architecture are not very effective. In fact, in most instances, there are no monitoring and evaluation mechanisms. Similarly, there are no auditing functions that would allow, for example, the parliament to have very good oversight on the security departments to see, for instance, are they achieving the set objectives? So as an example, what is the primary constitutional objective of the police as one of those 27 ministries and departments within the security architecture? It is to provide leadership within the internal security arrangement. And if we agree, for instance, that we have several security challenges that are affecting our internal security, then how do you measure the failure of the police? For the common man, the average man, the measurement of that failure is in the number of internal security challenges that are happening. But are those numbers documented enough for instance, the president to look and say, okay, in 2020, 200 kidnappings happened. Now that we're in 2021, those 200 have either reduced or increased. So that there is the absence of that. And so a lot of what we do, both, I'm sorry to say, within the media and even within the public security space, is anecdotal. We speak about it, but in terms of a factual presentation to see where successes have been made and where failures have been made so that adjustments can be made is unfortunately missing. So these two major reasons, capacity, like I mentioned, and then accountability, I think are the reasons why these security challenges have continued. If there was accountability, by now, certain persons that are heading this security department would have been changed. Because it would have been clear that they are not meeting their set objectives. But unfortunately, because these accountability systems are missing, those changes are not happening.
All right, we get to see reports of acquisition of some military hardware, month in, month out, not just from the United States, but from Pakistan and from other places and so on. Can we say there are justifications for some of this acquisition of military hardware? Although we see that the fight against Boko Haram or terrorism in the northeast, especially when we see that IDPs are returning to their original ancestral homes, it sends signals to Nigerians that the military or government, as the case may be, is winning the war against terrorism in that aspect or in that region. But in the situation where we are seeing everything, what used to happen in the Northeast is happening in other parts of the country, how do we justify the acquisition of military hardware that we bring in, month out?
So yes, it's very important that our security agencies, including the military, have enough firepower to at least either confront or to contain the security challenges that we have. But I think part of for lack of a better word, mistake we are making is that we are concentrating too much effort on this, hardware. Yes, it's important. And I would even add that what is more important is to have a local and homegrown defense industry, so that we boost this capacity to acquire hardware. But beyond the acquisition of hardware, those drivers, those root causes of insecurity is what we should be addressing with the same gusto that we're addressing this requirement for hardware. What do I mean by that? Things like poverty, things like unemployment, things like proliferation of small arms and light weapons, our porous borders, the socioeconomic grievance that is embedded in political, economic, and social exclusion, the weak, ineffective, and inefficient criminal justice system that is failing to arrest and punish offenders, areas like climate change and the inability of the political class to manage the effect and consequences of climate change, as well as the environmental degradation. Those are the root causes of insecurity. And no matter the firepower, the armament that we put in place, if we do not address these root causes, then unfortunately we would not get to where we want. And in addressing this, sometimes I hear our concentration at the federal government. Yes, the federal government has a huge role to play because, frankly, about 57 issues within our constitution are in the exclusive list. So it's okay to speak about the federal government, but the level of governance that would have more impact on citizens if they are the state governors. And so I believe that there should be better coordination between the federal and state government in addressing these root causes that I mentioned earlier on. I would be very happy to, if at some point in our national development, we also speak about the role of the local governments in contributing to addressing these root causes of insecurity that I mentioned. So in summary, yes, hardwares, such as the Super Tucano, such as all the gunship helicopters, the guns, the weapons that we've acquired are important, but also the soft approach through which you address these root causes of insecurity is even more important.
This root causes, which are social problems you talked about, from porous borders to unemployment, poverty, and all of that. Of course, these issues are going to take a very long period of time, and being intentional and with a lot of investments to try to change. But in the meantime, before that is achieved, especially when the president is saying that in 10 years, they'll try to see how they can get about 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. Let us assume that that is going to be, let's create a scenario where that is achievable in 10 years. But before 10 years, how do we keep safe? How do we ensure that Nigerians are safe and these things don't happen again? What are the things that we can be doing before the long term of trying to tackle poverty, unemployment, porous borders, and all of the issues that you mentioned?
Unfortunately, I don't see any other solution beyond addressing these root causes. How do you tell somebody who can't feed his family, who, for instance, his state government has closed markets and has shut down communication, and for the past 3-4 months, he's not able to feed his family? How do you tell him not to collaborate in one or the other form of activity that we see as that is actually criminality? So frankly, there is no other option. We need to tell ourselves the truth. There must be at least equity, justice, and inclusion, and it's not difficult to do. Yes, tackling poverty in terms of the general tackling of poverty may take that long, but those immediate steps to ensure equity, justice, and inclusion, I don't think we need very long to do that. And frankly, I must say, as someone who understands security, I have a doctorate. I also have a consultancy that I'm running. I record this data. I understand how these things are working. So we shouldn't shy away from addressing them. In fact, we should have done that yesterday. We should start immediately. And speaking about that, 2023 is around the corner. This is the time for us as Nigerians to make the narrative clear to politicians that what we want is a clear template to address these issues. If we allow politicians to continue along the line that they are going, those narratives are going to be driven by other issues. But we as a people, and I think the media too, has a key role to ensure that that narrative is brought to the fore so that politicians present to us a clear template for addressing both this hard component of security, which is the acquisition of hardware, as well as the soft approach, that we require as a country to survive. If we don't do it, then I'm very, very scared. Like I said, I do have 2 master's degrees and a doctorate degree in security. I've studied security both internally within the country over the last 27 years and internationally. If we continue along the path that we're going, unfortunately, I don't see that we forbade very, very well for our country. We must, as a matter of urgency, start to address both the real as well as the soft components of insecurity within the country.
Let's talk about the issue of hiring foreign mercenaries to handle this. We've had in the past where even some governors and some leaders call on the government to hire foreign mercenaries to help tackle some of these challenges so that Nigeria can have breathe some fresh air. Now, talk to us about the implication of this. If that is the route to go, although the government has its own reservations around this, but if that is the route to go, what are the implications of having a situation like that?
So in every part of the world where foreign mercenaries have been used, the issues that have come up usually are issues around the conduct of these foreign mercenaries. So if you look at what happened in Iraq, I think they were called Black Waters, if I remember well. And then the Russian group that is currently being considered in Mali, their history indicates one, lack of observance of human rights as well as the rules of engagement, and then the possibility of the conduct of acts that will be considered contrary to the national interests of the countries that they are deployed. They may sometimes be effective in addressing the immediate issues that they've been brought in, to address. But then they leave behind them a lot of issues. Number one, national pride. Number two, espionage. And then, of course, number three, the possibility that, remember, there are economic, objectives, for lack of a better word. So the same money that you've paid them, your own enemy, as it were, and in global politics, you always have enemies. Your own enemy could also pay them to buy whatever information it is that they gathered while they were deployed within your country. So personally, I'm not supportive of that. I would rather improve on those issues I mentioned earlier on. Imagine a situation where we bring all of these 27 ministries, departments, and agencies in security that we have together. Now, if we keep on complaining that we're short-staffed, our security agencies are not enough. But then when we put these 27, we coordinate their effort in a better manner. I tell you, the effect will be better. So instead of going outside to look for solutions, let's look inwards and ask those critical questions. A security sector governance reform, which is what I hear this current the Buhari administration is considering, is also a good step so that coordination is improved within our national security architecture, and so that elements of M&E, monitoring and evaluation, as well as auditing, are introduced within our security governance processes. And then that way accountability will improve. If there is accountability, I can bet you that some of these things will improve. Any appointee who knows that if he is not meeting the set objectives, key performance indicators for his department, once he's not doing it, the likelihood of him being either removed or changed from his position is extremely high.
All right. Thank you so much, Kabir Adamu, for joining us on the program. Thanks for your insight into this. We look forward to a better Nigeria and better security situation in all parts of the country. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Stay safe and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.